sometimes affected by the breeze. Coming up now, it's the gold medal match in the mixed team event on Compound Saturday. Again, shooting over 50 meters. The wind is great for that kite, and it's really good for the comfort of both the athletes and the commentators. So the two teams who've made it through here have had an interesting battle. Denmark had a tight one against France in the quarters, going on to beat Italy. And the Republic of South Africa came through Chinese Taipei and then Turkey to make this gold medal match. So coming up now, it's the gold medal contest in the mixed team event between South Africa and Denmark.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the athletes to the field of play for the mixed team gold medal match.
So here they come for gold.
On target number 2, representing
Republic of South Africa leading out the gold medal finalists. Jeanine van Kradenburg and Reuben Brent-Meek in their lineup. Curtsy then from Jeanine. How very polite of her. And here's the 23-year-old pairing of Tanja Jensen and Stephan Hansen of Denmark. Their respective rankings are 3 and 9 in the world, up against Jeanine van Kradenburg, 117, and Reuben Brent-Meek, who's 95th in the men's rankings. Got to say that Denmark are the strong favourites, right?
I think they are, but I think it still will be a really tight match. South Africa definitely proved themselves to get to this stage, so I think that they should be respected a little bit more that they're at this gold medal final. You don't make it easy to get to the gold medal final.
Right. And the pressure's all off them, really, because, I don't think that, with the greatest respect to them, people expected them to be here, but they've shot really well here in Turkey. They've made it through, and there's a great dynamic between the pairing. I was watching them warming up.
With no pressure makes you a very dangerous team to be competing against, so we'll see how they open up.
Well, South Africa will get us underway for the gold medal match here. We start with Reuben Brent-Meek. It's a pretty good start. A great start from the South Africans.
Ni lavt venstre.
Just a little pull there from Tanja Jensen at the end of her action. Hansen pulls it back into the 10 ring. Inside 10 seconds. Oh, it's a great start from South Africa, a perfect 40.
FX, stærk Tanja. 30 sekunder, fin tid. Tanja, du har tiden på mig.
Well, Jensen found the middle, and Hansen repeated the 10 he scored. So they only dropped 1 point, Denmark, but South Africa have come here and they mean business. Jeanine van Kradenburg and Reuben Brent-Meek scoring a perfect 40. There is the first arrow from the South African youngster. And it's definitely a unique action that Jeanine van Kradenburg has got. But it's effective. And the South Africans lead by 1. And we take a look back at all of the arrows in at that first end.
I mean, just impeccable shooting from both teams. I think the first shot from Tanja was just a cider arrow. She might have felt a little time pressure or something along those lines, and they're back in the middle. I think this is going to be a super tight match. Just like we said, I think when there's no pressure, like maybe on the South African team, they're pretty dangerous, and they've shown that in this first end.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting now because obviously things switch around, and the Danes will shoot first, and it gives them the opportunity to put the pressure on South Africa. If they can, they have zoned into the middle and they shoot a perfect 20 to get us off the mark in this second end. We'll see how the South Africans respond. So the buzzer, whose declaration that the range is safe to shoot, and Tanja Jensen will get us underway in the second end of this mixed team gold medal match.
Stærk Stephan. Super.
A bit of a grimace there.
Well done.
Well, there is the response from South Africa. Denmark did find the middle twice. But each archer has their own unique process that they go through, and it's best when it's almost robotic. But I've got to say, Tanja Jensen's is almost, well, I don't want to use the word fussy, but a little bit more complicated. There's more steps in her process.
And sometimes it's not a consistency. Sometimes it's something went wrong, okay, I'm going to fix it. I haven't watched her shot enough to notice that, but I think that there's just a way you like to have it, and I think it's okay to take that extra second and feel comfortable if it's going to make you shoot a better shot.
Well, Denmark scored a perfect 40 to match that of South Africa in the first end, and Brent-Meek has dropped the very first point for South Africa. Well, they've scored the same number of points, 79 apiece, both dropping just a single point. Denmark in the first end, South Africa in the second end, and Tanja Jensen, she's got a unique process, but it is working for her. Shooting a 10 there, and another one here.
Almost the exact same spot, just so close to one another. If we're being picky, I would put maybe a click in my sight to make it go into the X ring, but honestly, 10s are 10s, and I think we have to keep in perspective here that both teams have only dropped 1 point.
I know, it's incredible
over shooting. 16 arrows. It's really good shooting.
Yeah, and dropping just a single point means that they're missing the 10 by just, well, fractions of centimeters here. But that's the difference between gold and silver. It's in fact a game of millimeters archery. And I mean, we talked about actions, and everyone has their own process. Got to say, the South African Jeanine van Kradenburg has a very unusual one. It's almost like she's drawing, at the first she draws the bow down into her chest and then lifts it up, which I haven't seen very much in the archery field. So Brent-Meek gets us underway in the third end with a perfect 10.
And you mentioned her draw before. A draw like this is something that you might see from, honestly, from a younger archer or someone who's shooting quite a bit of poundage. I'm not sure what her draw weight is, so that might be some effect. But it also might be she grew up doing this routine, and that's what she really likes to do. I think Tanja took my advice and maybe gave it a click there.
Just about to say, she must have been listening to you. Very solid action from Stephan Hansen. And again, we're seeing such high scoring in this third end. No points dropped so far. Well, perfect score from South Africa. Pressure back on to Denmark. Wow, Hansen dropping into the 9, and well, they seem to be taking in turns here to drop just 1 point. It's incredible stuff. And it's just 1 point in it, but South Africa are back in the lead. And look at how quality this has been. This is all of the arrows.
Yeah, I think you can kind of see that we are by the sea. You've got a little bit of a left group on that 10 ring, and we've got a couple of strays out there to the low right, but really solid shooting from both teams.
Yeah, incredible stuff. And South Africa, well, they dropped 1 point. In fact, it was Brent-Meek there who dropped a point in the last end, but these two 10s to finish things off. And a well-deserving high five. There's a real interesting dynamic between the 40-year-old Jeanine van Kradenburg and 20-year-old Reuben Brent-Meek, and it works really well. Watching them on the practice field earlier on today, there was almost like a silent communication between the two that just looked very calm and very relaxed. They lead by a point here as we go into the final end, and it's Tanja Jensen for Denmark to shoot first.
I see what you mean about Tanja's shot, and it's because she has one more step than what you're used to seeing. She aligns her peep sight. So in the way she sets up her equipment, she might have a little bit more of a twist in her main string, and so the peep sight may not line up quite right when she draws the bow back naturally, so she adds that twist to be able to see correctly.
Well, it worked well for her and for her teammate. Perfect start. Brent-Meek follows up with another 10. South Africa just have to match Denmark. exactly what they've done here.
Jep, streg til venstre, den er god nok. Masser af tid, Stephan. 25 sekunder.
Well, another 9, and this is a massive opportunity for South Africa. Reuben Brent-Meek, can he score another 10 here? Well, he's put it in the 9, but they still have a chance to win. A 10 for Jeanine van Kradenburg, and she will have this one for South Africa. Oh, it's called a 10. It's a high 5 from the South African pairing. It was very, very close to the line, but it looks like it won't even go to a measure. South Africa have, well, against the odds, taken out Denmark, but what a high quality match that was. South Africa winning 158 to 157.
Like we said, it makes them dangerous when they're out here and no pressure, and they shot insane scores out here. Just 3 points from Denmark and only 2 points from South Africa were dropped from a perfect score.
There we have confirmation. Jeanine van Kradenburg and Reuben Brent-Meek will be standing on top of the podium a little bit later on here in Antalya, and congratulations to them. What fabulous shooting from the pair from South Africa to take out the much fancied Denmark